Donald Trump's codependent relationship with Fox News has become so normalized that we hardly bat an eyelash when Trump mimics something he hears on Fox and Friends with more ease than he repeats anything learned in an intel briefing. But we have posed the question here before. Who's running whom? It's often seemed much more like a media-run state than state-run media. And now there's this. The latest extensive reporting from Jane Mayer at The New Yorker provides an answer. In addition to chronicling Fox News' journey from partisan to propaganda, the piece shines new light on previously unknown products of the Trump-Fox relationship. For starters, The New Yorker reports a Fox digital reporter uncovered proof of the Stormy Daniels relationship and the ensuing agreement with Trump. But, quote, after getting one non-committal answer after another from her editors, the reporter at last heard from the head of FoxNews.com. She told colleagues that he said to her, "Good reporting, kiddo, but Rupert wants Trump to win, so just let it go." The New Yorker piece also describes, through several sources, two instances where Trump was given advance notice of debate questions, an especially eye-popping piece of reporting considering how angry Trump was about a similar situation having to do with Hillary Clinton. And finally, perhaps most importantly, the piece details a previously unknown attempt by Donald Trump himself to put pressure on the Justice Department to intervene in the merger of AT&T and Time Warner, a move seen by some as retaliation against the company that owns CNN. Blocking the deal would also be good for Fox. Joining Jonathan and Doug here on set, Zerlina Maxwell, SiriusXM Director of Progressive Programming, also former advisor to the Hillary Clinton campaign, and Bret Stephens, columnist for the New York Times. Jeremy's still here as well. Let me start with you, Bret, because I know the merger was something you reported on at the time, and followed you and George Conway and others on Twitter who thought that single act in normal times would be a full-blown scandal.
I actually think it's one of the biggest, almost provable scandals of the Trump administration. The president seems to have clearly intervened to get his Justice Department and his top antitrust official to reverse an earlier judgment and block the merger of these two behemoths. AT&T, I spoke with the CEO of AT&T at the time. He himself was so outraged that he gave me a pretty powerful on-the-record interview talking about a very peculiar timeline. A district judge then promptly reversed the Justice Department's decision to block the merger, and the appellate court just affirmed the district judge. Look, the point here is that the President of the United States appears to have suborned his Justice Department in order to pursue a political vendetta against a media entity, CNN, and to use all the engines of government in order to do that. And I would just put it to everyone watching the show who supports Trump: if Obama or a President Clinton had done it, would you not call that impeachable?
They're closet viewers, the Trump supporters who watch the show. I know a few. Jeremy Bash, let me get you on the record. It seems like this is where Trump benefits from the volume business of scandals he does. But this piece has some very careful reporting in here about Gary Cohn. And they detail a conversation between Gary Cohn and then White House Chief of Staff John Kelly. We don't hear John Kelly's side of the story in her reporting, but we hear Gary Cohn saying very clearly, someone who cares about his reputation on Wall Street and in polite society, that this was, I'm paraphrasing here, but some sort of red line, that this is not how we do business. What do you make of these sort of emerging glimpses of the efforts by human guardrails to stop Donald Trump from doing things beyond norm busting, but impeachable or illegal or highly unethical, or whatever term you want to use?
Well, here, and I think we see another example of one of the professionals inside the White House, Gary Cohn, of course, who had led Goldman Sachs, and I think it's fair to say is kind of an institutionalist. He's saying, no, Mr. President, we can't intervene in an antitrust matter being run by the Department of Justice any more than we can intervene in a prosecution or a special counsel's investigation. And that seemed to have been echoed also by John Kelly, but to no avail, because the president forced them to get the White House involved, to get involved in the Justice Department's efforts. And you got the president basically overriding the word and the advice of aides who are loyal to the institutions, and the president saying, I don't care, I want everyone loyal to me. And I think we can expect to see a lot more of this, Nicole, as more oversight shines lights light on the way that the president has been involving himself in the supposed independent actions of our government.
And you don't need a Democratic lawmaker or a left-leaning individual to suggest that this is as grave as Brett and Jeremy say it is. George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband, said this today on Twitter. If proven, such an attempt to use presidential authority to seek retribution for the exercise of First Amendment rights would unquestionably be grounds for impeachment.
Yes. Now, George Conway, of course, is a noted and vocal critic of the president, unlike his wife, who still works in the West Wing. As a follow-up on Jeremy's point, Gary Cohn also was probably the only senior Trump official to leave in a matter of principle. He quit. It was over tariffs. It wasn't Charlottesville. But he did leave on those terms, not because he was forced out. There's no question, though, that this is a serious matter and that this is a normal presidency, as you just said. It would be the story. Here, it'll be an hour or two. Like, it'll be a day or two. It shouldn't be. It should be, light should be shown on it.
Well,
and
let me just push back a little bit. I mean, the oversight committees.
Right. That is potentially the game changer. Is that up until this moment, with the Democrats in charge, this would have been a bad story for a couple days and then gone away. Now there's an ability for it to be pursued. That the oversight committee can go after this and subpoena the documents involved, talk to the witnesses there, and make something more of it. And that is going to be the test. To follow up what you're just saying, is that to this point, the president has been able to shake off scandal after scandal. And yes, they'd impact his poll numbers or, the judgment of pundits, but he would largely remain unscathed. That could change now, that some of this stuff could stick to him. He no longer has the allies on the Hill to make the stuff go away.
I want to get your thoughts on this, because this does seem like the kind of thing that even if you fly under the radar, this is absolutely worthy of the Democratic, of the committees investigating, getting to the bottom of this. She's got some reporting that a committee could try to corroborate, either in closed or open session, with two senior advisors to the president. And it is all the things that Brett and Jonathan and Jeremy say it is. It seems like a scandal ripe for some sort of correction, some sort of cleaning out of the corruption Trump tried to impart on his Justice Department.
Right, and it's a wonderful moment to be in post the 2018 midterms, where, as Jonathan said, we can now actually do something about these allegations that seem so disturbing, and in terms of the abuses of power from his position as president. But the Fox News thing, I was on with Gabe Sherman yesterday, and obviously he has done so much great reporting in terms of Fox News and Roger Ailes, and he said something that stuck with me. He said that post-Watergate, Roger Ailes' entire concept of Fox News was to prevent that from happening again. And so now we're watching Donald Trump have scandal after scandal after scandal, except you have a right-wing echo chamber which cannot be pierced in order to give facts to the people who essentially, who may change their minds if they heard some of the detail around some of these scandals. And so the idea and the conversations that we keep having about, like, what's going to matter, are we ever going to hit bottom? I think finally now we will, because we have an alternative to the Fox News, platform. We now have congressional hearings, which will also play on Fox News, where some of that truth will at least get to some of their audience.
But I would add, just, conservatives, the few sincere conservatives who remain, really ought to be outraged. This is supposed to be a pro-business administration. Here you've got two companies trying to complete what's called a vertical merger. Vertical mergers haven't been challenged for a very long time. They're not seen as anti-competitive. And the only reason why this is blocked is because a partisan president has personal pique against a private business.
Right.
And if conservatives wouldn't like Democrats behaving that way against business, they should especially not like Republicans doing so.
I want to just put up one thing for you and give you the last word. This is the list of people from Fox News who found their way into the administration. Bill Shine is the communications director, I think still being paid out by Fox News. Ben Carson was a contributor. Mercedes Schlapp was a contributor. Heather Nauert was at the State Department and a nominee to be the UN representative. John Bolton was at Fox News. Scaramucci, KT McFarland, Sebastian Gorka, who's to fill in the blank for Fox News. I read today he doesn't work there anymore. This is extraordinary.
Yeah, I used to think that Fox News was an arm of the Republican Party. Now I think the White House is an arm of Fox News.
Yeah, me too.
And their staff, and the White House is staffing up with people who were either contributors or ran the network. Bill Shine ran that network. And it's paying off for the president right now, and it's paying off for Fox News with ratings. But I think that, I think as we get into a 2020 election, I think it's going to be a very difficult spot for Fox, especially post-election, if they are still tied to this man, and we're seeing whatever may happen with Mueller or what may happen with these investigations. If he is such a damaged person, either heading into the election or if he even doesn't make it to the election, where does Fox News go from there? I don't really know what they're.
It's a conversation
where do they go after
we'll
this?
pick up. But I think the biggest problem is that Fox News now stands for someone who is neither Republican nor conservative. We'll see how that ends.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.